believe in flashbacks and the importance of confusion and blurred lines, and also play through everything that we do.
I believe that jeans and t-shirts are the uniform of the working classes, and that kindness should colour everything we do.
I believe in pushing your comfort zones, but not so much that you feel the drift.
I believe in good humour, and that making someone laugh is the best way to incapacitate their fear.
I believe that I can play any tragic heroine.
I believe I can play the action hero, but not the one in lycra and makeup.
I believe in question marks.
I believe in questionable tattoos.
I believe in dinner ladies as mentors.
I believe in grandmother's advice.
I believe in posh common food like Viennetta. I believe that I can sing along to any girl band tune, and I imagine that their song will be singing about my life. I believe I left my heart in a disco.
I believe I'll never eat another Finder's crispy pancake as long as I live. I sing along to adverts in my head and have entrusted my heart to a hard fen.
I believe in Whitney.
I believe in Kathleen Hanna.
I believe in mixed messages and waiting for the right moment, and not making a decision about something is actually making a decision.
I believe almost anything. I'm so gullible, I thought they planted trees alongside the motorway to make the journey pretty, and that slugs were just homeless snails.
I believe in dressing up, playing up, messing up, and freaking out.
I believe in people.
I believe in spectrums and colours and feeling protected by the matriarchy.
I believe in being here, that there's a place and a community for everyone. I believe that my dog thinks I'm a better person than I actually am, and that she'll always be happy to see me.
I believe in dressing rooms and quiet spaces, lights off and dreaming time.
I believe in being in water, free diving to the quiet place where it's dark, where all you can hear is your pulse. Hi. My name's Rachel. I'm 44 years old. I grew up in Birkenhead in the 70s and 80s, but I'm now living the lesbian dream in Weston-super-Mare with my partner Hannah and our two dogs, Butch and Fen.
Hi, my name is Tom. I'm 44 years old. I grew up just outside of Bristol in the 70s and 80s, and now I live in Bristol's gay village in my one-bedroom housing association flat with my extensive collection of vintage teacups.
So, me and Tom grew up in different parts of the country, but in the same era, so we share a lot of cultural references. We both watched a lot of TV and had similar role models.
We both really love Martina Navratilova.
That's it. That's it. And a truly wonderful victory for Martina.
I find that music really emotional. Are there any Martina fans in the house tonight? Yeah! Make some noise? Yeah! Great. So, I didn't actually want to be Martina. I just love watching her on TV. Actually, the only thing really that I'm interested in sport is Martina Navratilova. I didn't want to be her though. I actually wanted to be Princess Leia.
As kids, you know, there'd be lots of boys around our house, like just playing soldiers and cowboys and Indians. And one of those options was the Star Wars. And I would be like, well, I'll be Princess Leia. And I'd dress up as her. I think everybody thought it was quite a strange choice. But I also think they were quite grateful for somebody taking on that role, because it allowed a few other plot lines to develop. I was very drawn to the way that she looked. I loved her plaited hair buns. And I loved... The look is quite achievable, I think. Especially when you're 6 or 7, because you're just in a white sheet. But quite often in those shows, I think the female character deals with things that are much more associated with personal relationships or narratives that go beyond, like, warfare or fighting. And I'm still, you know, like that now, watching like Game of Thrones. The battle scenes are really boring, but the sex scenes, or, you know, the struggle between families and stuff like that, which the women are part of, like a very strong part of, I'm much more interested in those. I actually phase out during the stunts. You know, it just doesn't really hold my attention in the same way. Whereas the world that Princess Leia lived in, you know, that's fine because she was in charge. I suppose what it is about her is like, what I'm kind of interested in about her, or how I've seen her within shaping my life, is about how I connected up with other boys that were around me. And so I took on that role. And that was a mix of being like, well, I want to be objectified in that way, perhaps, but also I want to be part of the main storyline. There weren't many role models, I think, at that time for me. I didn't want to be like Kenneth Williams or Larry Grayson or that kind of gay, so the women just seemed much more expressive. I didn't really actually want to be Princess Leia, I just wanted to play Princess Leia in that moment. You know, I wanted to be able to have permission to be like, yeah, I'll do that, I'll be her, and then be a boy again. And that should be your right, I think, as a child. It's probably no surprise, but I wanted to be somebody quite different. I wanted to be Colt Stevens. Macho, stunt guy, part-time bounty hunter, thrower of fake punches, and driver of a massive truck.
It's funny because I've watched them recently, and you know that informs what my memory of it is. At the time, you know, it's my favourite show. I didn't have a structured enough life to be able to watch it every Tuesday, you know, that kind of thing. But when it was on, you know, I really loved it. And I got to see it. I probably only watched about 4 episodes or something, but I was like, yeah, somebody could do that. You just get to jump off things and fall on things, and maybe it was a bit of a sort of living in a trailer type thing as well. But I don't know what it was, I just loved it. I just really loved it. he just got to turn up and do stuff. It seems really real. It was proper like early realism for me. I mean, I really like the film Cable Guy, the guy that was brought up by the telly, and that was us, you know, because we only probably had about 4 channels, but they were on pretty much all the time. My mum used to just leave the TV on, you know, for the dog. And seeing this thing in this world, in this fantasy realm, you know, I watch it now and it just seems like any generic 70s show. I mean, the theme tune, it just makes me cringe. I don't like to kiss and tell, but I've been seen with Farrah. I've never been seen with less than a 9, so fine. I mean, that whole thing about categorizing women out of 10 is just so wrong. I've gone fast with a girl named Beau. I can jump from a tall building. I can total a brand new car. Because I'm the unknown stuntman that makes Eastwood look a star. You know, that kind of thing. This sort of background guy, all these stars around him, just doing his thing. It was proper early realism for me. I got a very similar feeling to watching Martina Navratilova play tennis on telly, and I was just like, God, I could do that. I could do that. But only ever watch her play on television.
Well, I'm not the kind to kiss and tell, but I've been seen with Farrah. I've never been with anything less than a 9. So fine, I've been on fire with Sally Field, gone fast with a girl named Beau, but somehow they just don't end up as mine. It's a death-defying life I lead. I take my chances. I die for living in the movies and TV. But the hardest thing I ever do is watch my leading ladies kiss some other guy while I'm bandaging my knee. I might fall from a tall building, I might roll a brand new car, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that made Redford such a star. I've never spent much time in school, but I've taught ladies plenty. It's true, I hire my body out for pay. Hey, hey, I've gotten burned over Cheryl Teague's, blown up for Raquel Welch. But when I wind up in the hay, it's only hay. Hey, hey, I might jump an open drawbridge or Tarzan from a vine, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that makes Eastwood look so fine.
Katie Harper from school had a party. I was about 15. And it was a sleepover party, and all the popular boys from school were there. But I wasn't that popular. I was a bit effeminate and a little bit weird.
Some girl, a popular girl from school, was having her 15th birthday party, and I got an invite, which was a little weird because I didn't really get invited to parties. I think back then though it was a bit of like a numbers game, so the more people you had at the party, the more popular you were.
When it was time to go to bed, we turned out the lights and we all got undressed and we got into our sleeping bags. And I remember hearing some of the boys say that they should be careful of me in the night because I might touch them up. But I don't want to touch them up.
After a few drinks, the party gets going, and the whole group leaves to head down to RJ's, the teen nightclub. We walk through the park, and boys are starting to congregate around girls, showing off, trying to get their attention. Somehow feel like I don't really fit in.
In the morning, we wake up with our teenage hangovers and we switch on the TV and we wait for our parents to come and pick us up. And I shuffle around the room, still in my sleeping bag, trying to find my trousers. I'm too ashamed of my body to actually take them out of the sleeping bag, so I'm shuffling around the room, but I cannot find the trousers anywhere.
We're all walking along the prom. I'm separated a little bit from the main group, but they're all talking, chattering away, and I can hear their conversations. So, I'm listening in.
And I shuffle out into the corridor, and there's Katie Harper's dad, and he's standing there, and he asks me if everything is all right, and I say, yeah, but I cannot find my trousers anywhere. So he steps into the front room, where all of the popular boys from school are, and he says, has anyone seen this young lady's trousers?
There's a girl and a lad directly behind me. I hear the lad say to the girl, yeah, don't you think she looks like a bloke though? The girl replies, yeah, her face, but have you seen her amazing body?
I go back inside and I wait for my dad to come and pick me up. And when he arrives, I do not step out of my sleeping bag. I just shuffle down the garden path and into his car.
I just carry on, pretend I haven't heard anything, but I'm having an emotion, and I have a sense that the way that I feel is different. In 1985, we're 11. Passengers aboard the QE2, in a fit of AIDS hysteria, decide to cut their holiday short and abandon ship when they discover a person on board has AIDS.
And Health Minister Kenneth Clarke enacts a power that patients that have HIV or AIDS should be detained in hospital against their will.
In 1987, we're 13. Margaret Thatcher at the Tory party conference says, children need to be taught to respect traditional moral values, but they're being taught that they have an inalienable right to be gay.
And a ward is set up specialising in HIV and AIDS. And Princess Diana opens the ward and she makes a distinctive effort not to wear any gloves or a protective mask.
In 1988,
15.
we're 15. Section 28 is brought into force. It states that no local authority shall intentionally promote homosexuality, or that they should publish material with the intention of promoting homosexuality.
And lesbians stormed the 6 o'clock news desk protesting against Sue Lawley does her best to carry on reading the news, whilst Nicholas Witchell tries to subdue some of the women. One of the women chains herself to the camera. The next day, the newspaper headline reads, "Bieber man sits on a lesbian."
It's 1991. We're 17. Outrage promotes its Cool to be Queer campaign, which rolls out in schools in an attempt to challenge the censorship about lesbian and gay issues in the classroom.
And Freddie Mercury comes out that he has AIDS, and he dies the very next day.
In 1993, we're 19. That's the year there's quite a lot of pussy and slags and labia about. And by that I mean pussy, perverts undermining state scrutiny, slags, socialist lesbians and gays, and labia, lesbians answer back in anger.
And Herb Ritz, on the cover of Vanity Fair magazine, does a photo shoot with Katie Lang and Cindy Crawford. Katie Lang has recently come out as a lesbian, and in the image, Katie Lang is dressed as a man.